Hello, my friends. It was a good day. Some things happened today that were a little bit surprising in a good way. I don't always like surprises. How do you feel about surprises? I like things to be really predictable, but these are the kind of surprises that are nice surprises. I went to church for a meeting today. Well, I guess the first thing I should start off by saying is I feel good. That's the trick about Lady Lupus and how she appears with me is she can go away as fast as she came. Flares come and go. So today I was able to walk and stand and do whatever I wanted to do. No headache, no aches and pains. That's why I don't whine too much in those rough times. I know a couple of you have asked me or mentioned you think I put up with it rather gracefully. Well, one of the things is some people who have lupus have one of these symptoms all the time, or lots of symptoms all the time. Or little things happen like their brain forgets how to tell their lungs to breathe or their hearts to pump. So I have always had these things that kind of come and go. They don't stay with me all the time. And if I just remember that when they're happening to me, then I do well. When I struggle with the disease is when I don't let myself remember that. You know, we're our worst enemies when we throw a one-man or one-woman pity party. Yeah. So anyway, today was like somebody who doesn't have any challenges whatsoever. It's a beautiful day. I didn't get to spend as much time out in it as I may have liked to because I had a church meeting. It was a meeting about meetings. Yeah, I went to a meeting that was about meetings. I did that, I guess it was a month or so ago. And there was a follow-up meeting. So one of the surprises is how much I looked forward to it. How much I look forward to spending time with those particular people. And there were some new faces, some people I hadn't met, and just a very enjoyable time. So two surprising things happened that I wanted to share because they're beautiful. One is there was some things that needed to be discussed that are, well, I'll say they're contentious, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It was just the kind of thing that there are going to be very, very different opinions person to person. And since this group is about coming up with shared standards to use in our covenant groups, we had to come out of the meeting with a consensus. And that's always interesting when you know you're dealing with a topic that there's going to be not just differences in opinion, but extreme differences in opinion. Well, luckily for me, I've been in a discussion at some point in my past life that was similar. And I had some suggestions I could make. And in all honesty, I interrupted at one point and reminded us that we love each other and that one of the reasons we are UUs is we cherish the fact that we're different from each other as much as we cherish what we find we have in common. Things settled down and I kind of felt comfortable to mentor this through till we got to a consensus on this one particular topic. Now this is one thing amongst a lot of things that are happening in the meeting, so it wasn't like I ran the meeting. No, that's not what I was there for. But I guess especially because I had experience with this particular challenge before with another group that was coordinating groups, I was able to be helpful in getting to a place we were all comfortable with. And afterwards, someone came up to me that I hadn't met before today, so they didn't know anything about me. And they said, Annie, I really have to ask you, are you a UU minister or have you ever considered the ministry? There's something about the way that you are in our group that just calms us all down and reminds us to love each other. And it just feels like it comes from the same place our minister does. Our minister was in this meeting, and by the way, she facilitated it greatly, especially since that wasn't the only conflict. And she helped resolve the other ones quite nicely. And I never know in those situations how open I want to be, especially when I don't know somebody. This is the first time I met this particular person. And I said, well, no, I'm not a minister, but I am in the ministry. I'm in service to community and have been for decades. I said, I am Wiccan and I am a priestess within that tradition. And there was a pause, and I was wondering how that landed. And then she said, well, I guess that explains it. Now, it didn't mean that she had any clue what being a priestess means in our traditions. But considering I was saying it aligned to being in service to a group or a community, and indeed ministering to them, we had a conversation for about 10 minutes. It was really interesting, where she asked me a little bit about what I did as a priestess and what my responsibilities had been. Well, she asked me what they were, and I explained what they had been. And I was actively involved in groups. And it was just a really comfortable and easy discussion, which afterwards, in the car, before I left the parking lot, I was celebrating the fact that I could comfortably say to somebody that I didn't know in a mixed group, when she said, "Are you, or have you ever considered being a minister?" Well, no, I'm not a minister, but I'm Wiccan, and in my tradition, I'm a priestess. And it was really just a pleasant surprise how that conversation was so easy. Well, even in a liberal group like the UUs, that's not always an easy conversation, because there's people who absolutely know nothing about us, and maybe they've heard just enough to make them uncomfortable, which obviously wasn't the case with this woman. And then another thing happened, which was very beautiful. There was a woman there I had met one other time. When we met to establish our meditation covenant groups, and I decided to go one particular day of the week instead of another, and she was with the other group. And I made the decisions based on what was convenient for me as far as day of the week. And she came up to me and she said, "I'd love to have a few minutes with you. Would you mind staying and talking to me a little bit?" Well, I didn't have any place I had to be after the meeting, so I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was an unusual request. It ends up there was no ulterior motive or no purpose to her request. She had met me in the meditation covenant group planning session, and basically she was telling me she enjoyed my company, though she was very disappointed we weren't in the same group, because she hoped to get to know me better. And she just wanted to have an opportunity to sit down and learn a little bit about me and tell me a little bit about herself. And it was a really easy conversation. It was the kind of conversation, which was another older woman, it could be our life experiences made us be conversationalists in this particular technique. But each of us listened to the other as much as we asked questions of the other. And it really got me to thinking, different conversational styles and the people we engage with in conversation in our lives. There are those who very friendly and warm and caring people who speak a lot about themselves and from their perspective, but they don't ask a lot of questions. I'd even say Roger's in that category. He loves people, loves being with people. He's very respectful of people, but he doesn't ask a lot of questions. Mostly he talks. Oh, he listens when somebody's talking to him, but he doesn't prompt conversation. He doesn't ask questions. And she had questions she seemed very comfortable asking of me, and they were kind of personal in nature, and I returned that by listening and asking her similar questions, and I really feel like we actually spent an hour together. I really felt like I made a new friend. And it was easy and it was comfortable. And that's how my experience is today at church in this meeting, and then the discussions, well, before and after the meeting. It felt easy. It felt comfortable. Really was a really good experience. And in all honesty, happy making for me, because several people mentioned to me that they've been hearing good things about me. Well, okay, there aren't a lot of us joining at any given time. So when you're new kid on the block, you stand out for any kind of reason. Any kind of reason. I know from my perspective, it was probably also because I'm volunteering to do some things and taking some of the responsibility and weight off of those who have volunteered to do them so long. So I'm sure that part of, she's a willing volunteer probably is part of what people had got to know about me. But while I'm making that assumption, someone came up to me that's interested in the Goddess Within group that I'm going to be co-facilitating, another covenant group with my friend Bibi. And she came up to me and she said she was specifically going to join that group because of my energy, which she found to be calming and comforting and very nurturing. I'll tell you why that mattered to me. I've just come out of, a couple years ago now, a high-powered career where I had to be a very forceful, dynamic, not just assertive but aggressive type A personality. And while people who knew me, and most definitely covenanters in my circles, especially when I was their priestess and their high priestess, would have described me with those words, not the general population would not have. They didn't see that part, who I can be. And it really made me so grateful that I'm at a time in my life when I meet new people that they see who I am. I am not acting as if I have a working title or acting up to the expectations of my career or feeling I have to be a certain way or act a certain way. I simply, comfortably am me. And it's really comforting in the world, and I know you'll all agree with this. It doesn't happen in all places in our lives where we can be easily and comfortably who we are. But when there's a place that can happen, we are nurtured, we feel loved, we feel connected. It's an exchange of energy that is just such a blessing. So, I had things to be grateful for today about this community that I have been involving myself so deeply with. That was really a nice day. Last night the ladies were here at our house. That's why I had an abbreviated vlog yesterday. It was just tiny moments from traveling around earlier in the day. And we had a wonderful night. Another new woman joined our group, and it's just lovely and wonderful. And I wanted to share something from that. Several times in our conversation, we were talking about some particularly challenging things going on in some of our lives right now. And several times, the phrase, "it is what it is," was used. And a certain friend of mine, who when I said that probably thought, Annie must have been one of the ones that said that because she says it all the time. No, I wasn't one of the ones that said that. But I smiled when it was said because behind them, in a position they couldn't see, is a gift my friend had given me back in my birthday last year. And it's because, he says, I tell it to him all the time, that sometimes in life there are things we can change. And then there's other times that all we can do is change our relationship to them, that sometimes it is what it is. Well, I don't know with this camera whether it's on mirror mode or not, whether you'll get to see this, but it is with the words correct, but it is a plaque that I was given that says it is what it is. So I got up and came around to the windowsill where I keep that plaque in front of me. When I'm sitting here at the desk, I'm looking right at it. And I brought it back and I sat down. I just sat there holding it in front of me. Well, everybody, of course, starts laughing because they realized, why I had done it. So we decided that we had become, it represented something to all of us about accepting some of the circumstances we encounter in our lives. And we decided that somebody made a joke about, we are now the sisterhood of the traveling "it is what it is" plaque. So it's going to each of our gatherings. And it's going to have a place of honor on the table with the wine or on a table where we're sitting. Because part of our conversation was sharing the challenge we have of dealing with the things that you cannot change. So family situations or getting older, illness challenges, financial challenges that come with being retired in an unstable environment for retirees. And so we decided that we were going to become the sisterhood of the traveling "it is what it is" plaque. Shared to encourage you to think about, how do you divide the things in your life? The ones that you can deal with, effect change, or the things that the only thing you can really do is change your relationship to them because they're going to be, and they're going to continue to be. Sometimes things are what they are. And that'll be it for today, my friends. Some thoughts on the places where we have no filters. where we are comfortably and easily present to those around us in a genuine and open way. And really an appreciation that it doesn't happen all the time, every place we are. Even in family situations, I know when I lived close to family, it was rarely true. There's been times in my life it didn't seem there was any place in my life, except with my coven, that I could be so comfortably, without giving a thought to it, relaxed in who I was. Then there's other times when it seems like there's been more opportunity. Certainly in a lot of places now, especially with my UU church, I have that opportunity. I still am guarded in other communities, but not there. So a celebration of the beauty of being comfortable. Not necessarily being who you are, because we can be very comfortable being who we are, but what we choose to present of that outwardly. It's wonderful when we don't have to make a decision. We can just be with that. And then in honoring of a great part of last night's discussion with the Whining Giggles group, in consideration of how we deal with the things that cannot be changed and how we adjust ourselves in relationship to that. Here's my thoughts. One challenging in one way and one challenging in another way. We did errands today, rather far inland. I did get some pictures. A little bit of a sinus headache, so I couldn't focus so well on the viewfinder. So we'll wait and see how many pictures I got. The one thing about digital cameras, you snap a lot of pictures, and every now and then you're going to get a good one. So I know there'll at least be a moment or two in the tiny moments that end this video. So it was not only a good day, kind of a warm feeling of connectedness kind of day, but I also had wonderful things to reflect on this morning in my journaling about last night with the Traveling Sisterhood of the It Is What It Is plaque. Goodbye for now.